I think we can all agree, both fans and even haters of the sequel trilogy, that Kylo Ren was one of, if not the best part to come out from the sequels. Yeah, he wasn't perfect and a flawed character just like the trilogy, but he brought something unique to the table, along with his good acting for the material he was given. And most of all, there was a lot of potential for this character. But new information that has recently come to light today that Kylo Ren's story in the sequels was to turn out very differently from what we actually ended up getting. As in a new interview on the Rich Eisen show, Adam Driver explains that, hey, believe it or not, J.J. Abrams did have a vision and plan for Kylo Ren. Just that the original arc for the character was different from what ended up happening in the end. In fact, Kylo was never supposed to lose his connection to the dark side and find redemption as Ben Solo. Here's what he had to say. I had an overall arc in mind that he wanted to do, which then changed. His idea was almost the opposite journey of Vader, where Vader starts the most confident, the most committed to the dark side, and by the last movie, he's the most vulnerable and weak. And he wanted to start at the opposite, where this character was the most confused and vulnerable, and by the end of the 3 movies would be the most committed to the dark side. In addition to this, Driver also says that when it came to filming The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson, surprise surprise, took things in a different direction than what JJ had intended. But it still tracked with the character overall, and well, it seems just despite Johnson for that, JJ decided to go the opposite way, even if it meant ruining his own original vision for Kylo. Because, sure, we of course know JJ redid a lot of things that Johnson did, like with Rey's backstory or Luke Skywalker's character, retconning literally almost everything he possibly could from The Last Jedi in Rise of Skywalker. But to change even his own plan, all because Johnson only altered it a bit, is, I'm sorry, in my opinion, just on a whole other level of petty. Rather than get fully darkside Kylo, JJ flipped things up to no longer have him as the main villain, which in turn he forced Palpatine back into the story. And then of course made a halfway effort in turning Kylo into a good guy at the very end, with the whole phoned in so-called Ben-demption. Now, sure, Rise of Skywalker is my favorite sequel movie, but I'll be the first to say it's very flawed, and the idea of Kylo becoming Ben out of nowhere, all because of a duel with Rey and then hallucinating Han Solo's final moments on the Death Star wreckage was a decision I wasn't crazy about. Now, granted, I know there are plenty of people who did, in fact, love this choice in having Ben Solo replace Kylo, and that's totally fair, but personally, myself, I just didn't care for it, nor did I like seeing him turn on the Knights of Ren, which, hey, were pretty much his boys, the closest thing he had to friends. And again, all on account that he had a change of heart due to an emotional hallucination about his dead father. Like, don't get me wrong, I get it making some sense in the story JJ put forward, and I accept it. But that still doesn't mean that I prefer it over what we could had originally and should had got. Supreme Leader Ren was my favorite part of the sequel trilogy, and I gotta give props to JJ too, because the Supreme Leader Ren moments in the film, well, in the early part of the film, are good, and yeah, I wanted more of that. I love the idea of it, and knowing Colin Trevorrow would have gone deeper into it in his episode 8 script is always something I wish we could have seen instead. As after all, the version of Kylo that JJ had in mind right from the start suggests that he was to be the ultimate baddie of the trilogy, rather than the awkwardly resurrected Palps that we ended up getting instead. The reverse Vader idea was gold and ballsy, just a shame we never got it. But despite all of the flaws and missed opportunities, Kylo Ren's character nonetheless still remains one of the most memorable aspects of the sequel trilogy no matter what. And I think that alone says a lot. But let me know down in the comment section on what you guys thought about this. Do you like that JJ changed around his whole idea and vision for Kylo in Rise, all just to spite Ryan? Which was unfortunate, but did give Bendemption to the fans who wanted it. Or do you also not like it and would have preferred to see Kylo stay and go full dark side, embracing it all the way through the trilogy, because after him killing Han Solo, I did not think he deserved redemption, as I still think not only would had that been better for his character's end, but for the movie as well. And 7 out.